Hello, Sacramento. I have arrived. So, my name is Kimberlli Joy. I am from Boston, Massachusetts. So, I'm going to apologize right away. I might drop an R or put one where one doesn't belong. So, bear with me. I'm so glad, first of all, I wanted to say, I'm so glad that there's been some Trump talk here because, I can't stand the man. And it's good to hear that after you say that, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's happened, because he won. Somehow he won, so somebody voted for him. Right. Anyway. Oh, before I get started on this story, there is a trigger warning. I'm going to tell the story about a Kevin. A Kevin is the equivalent to a Karen. Yeah, and you know what a Karen is, right? Karen is a white woman who has an emotional moment in public and gets filmed and everybody judges her. And if your name is Kevin or Karen, don't be mad at me. The internet did it, not me. But if it's any consolation, there is really no name for the angry black woman or black man. There's a trope, angry black woman and black man. Yeah. And I spent my life having to defend myself every time I've had an emotive moment, an expressive moment, a passionate moment of being accused of being angry or aggressive as a black woman. I'm just like, no, I'm emotional. I'm not angry. I'm feeling my emotions, but it's not anger. It's passion. It's expression. Constantly being accused, aggression, anger, all my life. And I couldn't stand that, so I did whatever I could to kind of temper it, right? And then, because for me, that's not true. I'm not angry. But then I read somewhere, that James Baldwin said, James Baldwin said, to be black and conscious in America is to walk around in a constant state of rage. And when I read that, I was so fucking pissed. Because I spent my whole life trying to show people that I'm cool, I'm not angry. But then as I got older, I realized it is like right below the surface, right? And it's tempered by prayer, my respect for humanity, my love for humanity, and also the truth that I don't have the freedom and the privilege of going off in the middle of the street like some of these Karens do without walking away in handcuffs. Until this day. It was 2000, Boston, Massachusetts. My sister and I, Carla, let me just tell you a little bit about Carla. She's very pink. She's like the wicked Elphaba and Galinda. She's like the Galinda to my Elphaba. She's very, very prim and proper. She is a rule follower. We go out every Friday night to this place called Wally's. Wally's Jazz Cafe. It's on Mass Ave. It is a historical landmark. Dizzy Gillespie played there. Billie Holiday sang there. They said that Malcolm X hung out there. And now it's our little watering hole in the wall. And we would hang out there and drink cognac and listen to our jazz musician boyfriends play. Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, Billy Childs. Yeah. And at the break, during their set break, the bartender would go out and drop some money in the jukebox, and Marvin Gaye would come on. Let's get it on. Or Nina Simone, birds flying high, you know how I feel. And right at that part where she would say, and I'm feeling good, somebody would always go, oh, this is my song. My sister hated when I did that. But that was our Friday night ritual, but this night, we decided before we go to Wally's, we were gonna go to a Michelin-recognized restaurant that my sister's friend invited us to on Newbury Street. If you know anything about Massachusetts, you know anything about Boston, Newbury Street is about as white as a Friends episode. And we weren't wealthy girls. We were hardworking 30-something-year-old women, and we held our heads high as we navigated our full hips through the bistro, looking at the gray and grimacing faces and bewildered faces as we took our seat at the table. And as we sat down, we heard, "There goes the neighborhood." We looked at each other, both took a deep breath, exhaled, and just relaxed as we saw Saya come over. Saya, seeing all the people just staring at us, said, "Chef Jordan is so happy that you're here. We have a very special menu for you. Here is your amuse-bouche and your glasses of champagne. Sit back, relax, don't worry about anything. We'll just bring food out. You are Chef Jordan's guest tonight." Well, we knew that what Saya was doing was qualifying our presence. She saw people staring at us. She wanted them to know they're special. They belong here. So we thought we'd play along. So I pretended to be a New York Times bestselling author. Yeah, so I heard from Oprah's people, and they're actually thinking of optioning my book for her book club. I'm getting a green light. "Oh, really? Have you heard about Lionsgate? Have you heard from Lionsgate?" "Yeah, we have 2 directors looking to write a screenplay for my book." "Oh, that is so great." And people were ear hustling and listening in, and I even saw a woman sitting diagonally from me, mouth to her people at the table, like, "Who is she?" We sipped and we nibbled throughout the night. We giggled and laughed, and we kept up this appearance. We talked about vacationing and the Hamptons, and we, we've never been to the Hamptons. I couldn't even show you the Hamptons on the map. But we giggled and laughed our way through the night. And right before the check came, we decided, we wanted to get up. It's time to go to Wally's. We're gonna get up and put on our lipstick, readjust our cleavage. And it hadn't been long that we were in the bathroom, at least it didn't feel long, when suddenly we heard this violent rap at the door. Boom, 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 boom. "In a minute." Not 30 seconds later, kicking at the door. And we were like, okay, we gotta get ourselves together and get out of here, get out of this bathroom. And when I opened the door, I saw this man he had like an orangey tan and like a goldish comb over. No, it wasn't Trump. But he was giving Trump. Angry, violently angry. So I noticed his anger, but my sister was, very, Galinda, "Sorry, 2 girls." And he said, "Yeah, 2 big, fat, black bitches. You need to go back where you came from." And he pushed me, she was out first. He kind of pushed me out of the way and slammed the door. I could feel the lock click as I held the doorknob in my attempt to pull it open. And I stood there holding the doorknob, and the second thing I felt was just heat from my feet rising up to my head. And then I closed my eyes. And I told myself, surrender. And I started to pray. Oh, dear Lord, please don't let me kill this motherfucker tonight. I had visions of violence dancing through my brain. It was beautiful. But then I thought, that's not going to end well. And then the question, well, what do you want? I want to know why he thinks it's okay to speak to us this way. And then suddenly, every memory of every memory of racial bullying flooded back into my head. I was born by the river. I was born in a time when turn the other cheek was the mantra of my community. In a little tent. And in 1970, when I was bussed out to school, white adults were throwing rocks and racial epithets to children, at children. And then in 1980, the police ransacked our neighborhoods looking for Carol Demaney Stewart's murderer, arresting every young black man they could put their hands on, to find out later that it was her husband. It's been a long time coming, and I know they never apologized. See, this was 2000 in Boston, Massachusetts. There was no implicit bias. It was just plain old-fashioned racial tyranny with a side of implicit, explicit, and the worst, complicit bias. And the complicit bias was coming from me. It was me and my fear of just being angry, showing anger. I was tired. I was so tired. The door flung open. He was moving so fast that I couldn't catch up with him. But Galinda did a little body check, got him off balance, just enough so he could slow down. And I stretched out my right leg to step on the back of his shoe. But now we're in the middle of the bistro. I brought my left leg to meet my right, and I told him to turn around. And he did. And I said, why did you think it was okay to say that to us? The restaurant quieted. I repeated, why did you think it was okay to say that to us? And that woman sitting diagonally from me said, oh, what did he say? Does he have any idea who she is? He stuttered, he stammered, he even wept a little bit and invited us up to the bar for a drink. And Carla and I are very forgiving if you're gonna buy us a drink. Okay, what do you say? So we sat there at the bar. I sat there at the bar with him, and I was sipping a Grey Goose Dirty Martini with 3 olives and listening to him go on and on about why he was so upset and what was going on with him, and I really wasn't listening because the only thing that I could think was, oh my God, this could have gone so wrong. First of all, if it was this day and age, we would be TikToked. He would be the crying Kevin, and I would be the bistro bitch. But that time, I would have just gone out in handcuffs. Carl and I think really fondly of this whole experience for many reasons. One is, we really think that the people in the restaurant probably assumed that he called us the N-word. And had he done that, I probably wouldn't have even been upset because I would have just recognized right away. I know why he said that, because he's crazy, right? The word bitch didn't bother me because my mother, knowing who we were in the town that we were in, that people would probably try to use that word, so she instead of weaponizing the word, she made it an acronym, meaning being in total control of herself. Yeah, thank you, Gano. And he was lucky I was a bitch that night. We were all lucky. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you call a black person black, it's not an insult. Let me put it this way. when the pot called the kettle black, she said, "Thank you, darling," and I whistled too. And even though I was, 30 years old, I was a fitness instructor, so I was snatched. She called me fat, and those are fighting words no matter how much you weigh, right? Right? But it wasn't the name calling, it was the emboldened racism, just this idea that you can just come to and step to us and just be that blatant and disrespectful. And it's that experience that I've had in grade school, and in high school, and in the playground, and in college, and in the library, and in the DMV, and in walking down the street, and driving, and in a restaurant, every day, all the time. I was done. Baldwin, Black conscious rage. The night ended triumphantly. We didn't have to pay. Somebody took care of our bill. And we never made it to Wally's. Too many apology cocktails. We had to get a cab home. And a couple of weeks later, we learned that this man, Kevin, was a regular, and he had been banned from the restaurant. Yeah, apparently, yes. Apparently, we weren't the first people, women of color, he bullied in this way. We were just the first that stood up to him. Which reminds me of the quote by Maya Angelou. It says, history, despite its retching pain, cannot be unlived, but when faced with courage, will not be lived again. Yeah. So how do we handle bullying in a nutshell? See what I did there? Rage plus courage equals freedom. Kimberlli Joy.